Good evening. Welcome to episode 2 of our series on government accountability. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Motor Vehicle Fund, the balance of the Motor Vehicle Fund, and whether or not elected officials have the ability to determine whether or not they're going to follow state law. The Motor Vehicle Fund was brought about in 1937. It's a special unbudgeted fund that treasurers have sole control over. It was created to fund the motor vehicle portion of county treasurer's office. It's a very unique fund. It's only something that happens with treasurer's offices. The $5 facility fee is part of what goes into that fund, among other things, and it's solely to be used to fund the motor vehicle portion of the treasurer's office. So that helps cover payroll expenses, office supplies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a funding mechanism to do the treasurer's function of what would be the state's job of supplying motor vehicle licenses and titles and et cetera. One of the questions here lately is what happens to money that's left over in this fund at the end of the year? Well, let's see. Well, we're going to move me out of the way here. We'll move me up here, and we're going to look at the actual statute. So a statute is a law. Kansas State Statute 8-145, if we look down here at this highlighted portion, it says any balance remaining in such fund, and here it's speaking of the motor vehicle fund, at the close of any calendar year shall be withdrawn and credited to the general fund of the county prior to June 1st of the following calendar year. Now, the problem that we've had over the last few years is this has not been being accomplished. When we look over the past 8 or so years, I can only see 2 years where this was actually done, and the other years that this wasn't transferred over. Now, recently on Facebook, our former treasurer admitted that she had not been following this law, and her reasoning for it was that it would bankrupt the fund and there wouldn't be enough money. You can't really subvert state law in order to maintain money in this fund. In my opinion, the first thing that you would do is not spend all the money. If you were concerned that there wasn't going to be enough money in that fund, that it was underfunded, I would still go ahead and transfer the money because that is the law, and then work something out with the Board of Commissioners where you would funnel that money back through the general fund in order to provide whatever necessary funding that you felt you were short on in order to operate that motor vehicle department. But this is not an option. This is a state law, and as elected officials, we have to follow state law. Now, I will show you. Let's bounce me back out of the way here. Get me out of here. So let's just take a look at the transfer. So this year, this is actually one of the this is one of the budget summary sheets, and this is from May of this year. Well, if we go down here, May of this year, and we look at this highlighted line, we'll see that on 5/31 of 24, that the treasurer's special, which is that motor vehicle fund, is transferred to the general, and it even has the state statute right there in that fund line. And you can see that on May 31st of this year, $60,740 that was left over from last year was transferred to the general fund. Now, what did that do to the balance? So let's flip over here and look at this one. So if we look at this one, we can see that at the beginning of the year, the balance was the $61,718.65. Now, that is what was left over last year at the end of the year. So that's at the beginning of the year, January 1st, that was our starting balance. We were able to operate off of that money throughout the year until the end of May, at which time that balance had to be transferred over to the general fund. Well, when we did that, if we look down here, we can see that that brought our current balance to minus $5,900. That's not a lot. So one of the recent forums, someone said that balance was 15,000 below zero. Unfortunately, our former treasurer has recently had a complete meltdown on Facebook, and she said that it was $50,000 below. Well, it's about 6,000 below. But the way this works is, as we continue to generate revenue throughout the year, that balance is going to come back up. This month, it may drop a little bit below that even more because July is a 3 payroll month. We'll be paying, 3 sets of payroll in July. So we may see it come back down some more. But we're also very busy, and as through the year goes, we're going to see that come back up. We can't not obey the law because, oh my gosh, we're afraid that may go below zero. All the money in the county, it comes out of a single bank account. So it doesn't matter if that goes below zero, it'll be floated by the county bank account. And then throughout the year, we'll see that gradually come back up. And then at the end of the year, we should have money left over to transfer next year. But we do not actually get the opportunity to just ignore state law. We have to follow the law. I really think that managing money is the key to having enough money in that fund. If we had $60,000 left over at the end of the year last year, there's absolutely no reason that I need that $60,000 to operate this year, because we're going to make that money right back up through next year. It's pretty obvious. But anyway, that's where we're at on the balance. That's what happens with state law as far as transferring the money over. And I'd say it's pretty well established that as an elected official, I don't get to pick whether or not I follow state law. It's black and white. It's very clear. And going forward, the treasurer's office will be following all state laws, and we'll be managing our money in a way that allows us to be, we'll say, profitable, even though it's tax money. But we're going to be doing just fine. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm going to continue to do these. The next episode, I believe we're going to talk about the budget, because there's been some nonsense floating around out there about the budget. So we're going to explain the budget. We're going to show you how it works and why we have plenty of money in the budget. And appreciate your time. Thanks.